Greetings, Patreon. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Eric, why are we here?
Because it's after dark.
Oh, is that why? Welcome back to Geekvolution After Dark. We're going to talk about random things for you because you guys were cool enough to help us support the channel. And because you do that, we just sit around for an hour and yap at you.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to do once again. I believe this is episode 39.
Is it?
So we should do something really special for 40.
Should we? Or should we wait till 50?
Yeah, well, by special, I meant just, like, I don't know, wear a goofy hats, you know?
Sure.
Something like that.
Okay.
Like, really do it up right, you know? No, 50
For
we
40,
should...
the milestone.
Right.
The milestone number.
Right. No, 50 maybe like a cake, you know?
Yeah.
Or something. Like, well, we should do something pretty cool for 50. I don't know what that'll be.
Yeah.
But we should talk about it.
Yeah.
This is the show where we plan the show while we're making the show. That is a thing that we have always done.
Could do a live after dark for 50.
We've done one.
Did
we have done that once.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, it didn't turn out great.
Oh, yeah, it didn't turn out
It
good.
was okay. I don't know what it was. We were just kind of off that night. It wasn't great.
I feel like all the listener or all the viewer stuff was all just like regular superhero stuff.
It was. It turned into kind of a regular live show. We tried to spice it up, but you don't want to.
Swearing a little bit.
Yeah, but you don't want to like manufacture that.
Yeah.
You don't want to force that. You know.
Yeah.
It's got to come fucking naturally.
Yeah.
You know, like that. That's an example of naturally.
Not like the beginning of Logan.
Of Logan.
Yeah, where they just say fuck
just
like
over and over again,
times.
just to try to acclimate you to the fact that this is different now.
Yeah,
That's
could say
true.
Fuck.
That movie is great. It does have that problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right at the beginning, it feels like you're watching Halloween 2, the remake of Halloween 2. You know, where I'm just imagining the screenplay.
Thank God
we
we don't have a third Halloween 2 coming out.
That's good. I'm glad
they gave it subtitles. I wish they'd come up with that idea beforehand, though.
Yeah, and remember, you and I were talking about that when that movie came out and, like, all the different things they could have done, and we couldn't come up with a great one. And then when they finally came up with an okay thing, it's like, really? You couldn't come up with that before you put your movie
because
out?
it's Halloween Kills, and I don't remember the other one is. It's Halloween something.
Yeah, I forget what it is now, but it's fine. Like, it works.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so now we have 3 movies called Halloween, and one of them is a direct sequel to the first movie, so it's Halloween, and then the next movie you're supposed to watch is Halloween. It's so weird.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, Eric, you want to start us off?
Yeah.
You have anything interesting to talk about?
We're going to talk about the MCU, which we never talk about.
I'm going to take a nap.
But
I'm so done talking about the
last
MCU.
One,
I have nothing left to say, okay?
But this is interesting, I think.
Oh.
I believe I've discovered something.
Okay.
Something that no one else is talking about.
Actually, I'm going to drift off, and if it's interesting,
sure.
I'll, like, just spring right back to life, okay?
So, I posted in the SSSSSS a couple of...
No, if you're going to do that, you got to decide what the last S stands for.
Superior?
The last S?
A while ago...
Society, superior.
A while ago, I made a post on there where I talked about how Marvel humor feels like anime humor to me. Where,
in
like,
what way?
That's super intrusive, interrupts otherwise dramatic scenes.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right? Like...
Somebody's just suddenly crying with a whole bunch of, water spouting out of their face.
And then, recently I was watching something that was talking about the box office in China, and how it is obviously the second most important box office, but it's looking like it's going to become the most important. China will be the #1 movie-consuming country.
Wow.
And then, 2 ideas hit me in the brain.
Is that because we just stopped going to the theater?
I think it's just because they have so many people.
Well, yeah, but why hasn't that happened already then?
I don't know.
Why is it changing is the question
I don't know.
I'm asking. Okay.
It's bad for Star Wars, I can tell you that.
Yes, absolutely it is.
But then I had this idea.
That's why that will just be a TV thing from now on. Never thought that would happen.
Then I had a thought, and I went, oh fuck, I'm right. I am right. It is anime humor. I say that China and Japan are not the same place, but I've seen Chinese movies. Their sense of humor is very similar. Mm-hmm. I think we are intentionally creating that kind of anime humor because it plays in China.
Or it was a happy accident, and then they picked up on it, and that's maybe part of the reason they're doing it.
I think we're doing comedy without comedy without subtitles.
Or even
like
comedy without borders.
We are intentionally doing not American humor.
Wow.
Intrusive humor, so it sells better in China. And that tracks with Star Wars too, because there's some annoying humor in that first one, but Last Jedi cranks it up.
Really ramps it up, yeah. I don't know if I agree with you, but, well, I don't know, man, because...
That might be cynical, but I think there's a potential that's there.
Okay, I see why you would call that cynical. I wasn't even thinking cynical. I was just thinking it might be a happy accident, and that it sounds a little conspiracy-ish, like, because it's also resonating with people here. Like most people aren't minding that humor, or it's the reason they're going.
But we also have a generation that grew up on anime.
Yeah, but is it anime humor, or is it anime humor compared to the way we used to do levity in action movies and superhero movies, right?
I think it's...
Compared to that, it does feel like anime humor. I don't think it is,
I think it's the same... I think it's used the same, like, structurally. Like, it interrupts scenes, and characters become different characters. They drop IQ points and act like morons for 10 seconds, just like they do in anime.
Deadpool also does that. And...
But Deadpool turns to the screen.
Sure, but when people see that kind of humor and don't like it, they tend to call it Deadpool humor, right? Like, it has as much to do with that. Like, and think about the timing with Deadpool. Like, Deadpool comes out in 2016. The biggest... the movies that have that problem the most come after that.
Well...
Right?
I think the bigger culprit is Guardians. But both Deadpool and Guardians are comedies.
Sure, but then Guardians starts to go farther with it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And partly because that was popular, and it's hard not to go, okay, what made it popular? Oh, these jokes, we'll put more of those in.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think it's a dog chasing its tail, right? Like Guardians happens, and that's really popular, but then Deadpool happens, and then when Guardians 2 comes out...
We'll just start inserting it in our serious movies.
Yeah.
We'll just interrupt fucking scenes with it.
I've always looked at it as doing the same thing we always did, but less subtly and more often. Like, I don't think a lot of the humor in the more recent Marvel movies, with the obvious exception of Ragnarok, and in Guardians 2 to some degree...
Which is also a comedy.
Right, yeah, of course. I don't, and intentionally a comedy, whether we wanted that or not. That's what they made. I don't know that the jokes generally are all that different from what they were before. They've just dialed it up.
I don't know. They feel so intrusive. Like,
I mean, that's true.
I keep
sometimes
I keep having to, like, explain this to people where I'm like, where they're like, well, Iron Man was jokey. I was like, yes, Iron Man was jokey. He made jokes.
Yeah.
He didn't do bits. There weren't skits in the middle of scenes.
See, I think people
that's how anime does
tend to oversimplify the whole the Marvel movies are jokey thing, where it's like, yeah, they have levity, but you can blend that. And then I think the Marvel movies themselves oversimplified it to the point where they stopped blending it well to some degree.
It used to just be
it's a
funny
case by
things people
case
say.
thing.
Yeah, well, Black Panther does not have this.
No, but Captain Marvel does.
Yeah, but like people used to say funny things, and now like we do bits. Like
and they say funny things because that's how life is.
Yeah.
You know? And because Tony Stark is inherently a funny guy, it's somewhat of a defense mechanism. He's eccentric. He's a guy that's gonna like diffuse tension by doing that, or he's gonna be arrogant and condescending by doing that. You know, and so like it serves two functions. It makes sense that guy is doing that. That's his personality, but it also entertains the audience.
Yeah. Well, and like
in a movie that is otherwise serious.
We do this in movies, like all Marvel movies now. Maybe with the exception of Black Panther. But all Marvel movies now are comedies.
Yeah.
Like they didn't used to be like that.
But I don't think it's necessarily because I don't even know that you're wrong.
This is my perception of the movie.
Sure.
Is that they're all comedies now.
I mean with the whole China thing.
Oh, yes.
Like I'm not sure that that's why they're doing it. It's
feels
working.
Like that to me.
I can see why you'd say that that's part of why they're performing as well as they are in China. I could see that.
And I could see them noticing that and doubling down on.
But I also could see that happening regardless of China.
Okay.
Because it's working here too.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like Ragnarok performed as well as it did. They didn't China.
But Ragnarok is supposed to be a comedy.
Well, yeah, sure, but the decision to start making movies that Ragnarok was supposed to be...
Captain Marvel is not.
Yes, but Ragnarok was supposed to be a comedy after their second movie was dull and boring and people didn't like it, okay? Yes. When they initially decided we're going to make Ragnarok, you cannot tell me they conceptualized that as a comedy in the first place.
No, they definitely didn't.
Because those two things don't go together.
No.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
And so, Fuel for Your Fire, maybe they're going, well... the current comedic sensibilities, or the current sensibilities that people that are liking our movies are having, maybe it's with Guardians and maybe China, like you're saying, we're gonna make this a comedy because we can fix it that way. That was clearly a deliberate course change, and it baffling to me. Because I know I get in trouble every time I bring this movie up because people
it's
like it.
It's baffling with the material. It would have been different if it was a different story altogether.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's baffling to me that it worked.
Yes.
Because it just didn't feel to me like those two things went together.
And it feels like such a cynical... Well, Guardians worked.
Yeah.
And we're also in space.
And then it was huge, and I couldn't even believe it.
No, it really felt like everyone should have been like, yeah, you're just ripping off another property.
And I heard a lot of people say they were concerned that's what it would be, and
it was
giving
that.
it the benefit of the doubt. And then it was that. And I'm not saying the same people that were afraid of that went and saw it and it won them over, but I was surprised by how many people were won over by it. But anyway, I mean, I was just trying to make this another Guardians or another Ragnarok bashing session, but that is an interesting theory. I don't know if I'll buy it.
I'm just saying, like. Because people act like it hasn't changed. I'm like, no, go look at the fucking X-Men movies. Go look at First Class. Go look at X-Men 2. Those are not brutally dark films. And I hate that everyone's like, oh, you just want everything to be fucking Daredevil. No, I fucking don't. The X-Men movies didn't have... Like, First Class has levity. Days of Future Past has levity.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight has levity. They don't become SNL skits in the... Like, the characters don't have to stop for 3 minutes to run through every fucking time travel movie. Just to, like, make sure we hit all the reference points for the audience. Like, it's not... It's different now.
Yeah.
And it's different in the Marvel movies. But I already had the thought that I was like, oh, Marvel is anime humor now. It is that scene-breaking... And then I was like, oh, but China has that comedy sensibility, too. And they're really important to the movie market now. Maybe that's intentional.
No, that is enlightening. I mean, I think you've hit on part of why... they're doing so well in China. I do not think they're doing that on purpose.
Okay.
Or I'm very skeptical of that.
We are also at least a generation, not a generation and a half, into an anime viewing public.
Yeah.
Where, like, some of these people probably watch anime and grew up on anime.
Yeah. I'd be real surprised if Feige thought of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it might also not be up to him.
Well, sure.
That could be like a Disney call.
It could, but do you think... I think you're almost giving those folks too much credit.
You think so?
Yeah, like I would be really surprised if some bigwig at Disney understood anime well enough to say, let's put that kind of humor in our movies because China's watching them.
But you might look at Chinese movies and be like, what do they like?
Boy, I just feel like
it's usually... the second biggest demographic in the world. You might put a little bit of research in.
We said that was a cynical thing to say, but I also think that those that a lot of the time the guys on top like that are so out of touch that they wouldn't know that. They wouldn't even think of that. It's almost too brilliant. I don't know.
Okay,
that's interesting.
See, I had something new.
You did. That's brand new. I've never thought of that before.
We hit all the same points we always hit, but...
Eric, I'd like to give you an assignment.
Okay.
Eric sounds so excited. Okay, Eric, here's your... I'm expecting him to fully phone this in now. All right. C-. Eric, with your limited knowledge, with the experiences you have had so far with this, pitch a Star Trek series.
I knew it was going to be Star Trek.
What would you... And you can be as generalized as you want, but like, if you had to do a pitch meeting for CBS or Paramount, what would your Star Trek movie look like? Or your Star Trek show?
A movie or series?
You can go either way. I was going to say a series.
Okay. You just do Voyager right? Like you just you make it an exploration show that goes to a part of the universe that we haven't been to yet. And it's
more serialized.
Yeah. But I would keep the TNG model of not like exactly TNG, but like I wouldn't. It's not a 12-chapter book. Like I wouldn't do that. Like I would have it be episodic. The Ghost in the Shell, the standalone complex thing, where like some episodes standalone, some episodes are part of an overarching story, and some episodes we touch back on and we build on.
And like Voyager kind of does that. It just doesn't do it real well.
But no, I would obviously move forward, and I would do new things. Like I would have all new races. Like you put all the races everyone knows on the ship, right? Like you've got a Klingon on the ship, you've got a Romulan on the ship, you've got a Vulcan on the ship. Like any race anyone cares about is on the ship, right? Yeah. But like you get so far away from like the standard iconography because we mined that so much throughout the entire 90s. You go do all new things and you have new races and new ideas.
Well, once again, before we got to the Borg, Voyager kind of did that. It's just the races, most of them weren't all that interesting.
You do interesting races.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, that's... I would have a... Maybe the spin that you do to make it more contemporary is you're not the flagship, right? Like, it's a shit assignment. Like...
Yeah.
That's
what DS9 is.
Maybe it's a captain that like pisses people off, and like they're just like, okay, go explore over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
kind of like the Orville.
Except are they the flagship?
I don't think they are.
They're important. Like it's a big deal he gets the Orville.
That's true. No, that's true.
Because they can't early on they can't decide whether he's actually a competent captain or not.
Right.
Because he kind of gets it for nepotism.
And then they kind of fix that.
No. I mean I would do. You do it more like Firefly, right? Like that's what the crew's a little bit more like. Mm-hmm. Like you have a little bit more bickering. You don't have everybody hate each other. Like people on Firefly like each other.
Yeah. You just say it's okay to have conflict. So basically, it sounds like what you want is just DS9 on a starship. Like
yeah.
You're actually going places.
I wish I could come up with like a really cool like overarching plot just off the top of my head.
Sure.
But nothing's coming to me. You would have to have some. You would have to have a new Borg. Like that. That's what I think you would have to have for this.
You want a big overarching master race that we don't take the teeth away from at some point.
Yeah, and you just that would have to be the hook of like the ongoing is like there's something really big. You might maybe if you're trying to do sophisticated like mature television like we do now.
Yeah.
Maybe go something a little bit bigger and weirder and more cosmic like early Star Trek, or like we do in one-offs. We never follow up with that stuff, right? Like we always it's a crystalline entity, but like we're not really gonna ever do anything. Like you do like a crystalline entity like race, or like it's something that's beyond us.
Or you do a big sci-fi premise, but we don't resolve it in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, what if you did the Doomsday Machine, but it was a whole season?
Yeah.
Like, what if you're just being chased by this giant sock in space? Like
yeah. You do something big. And I like maybe like Lovecraftian or something like that. You bring back the fear of space and like that like the Borg are scary, but the Borg are people. You do something that's like almost beyond comprehension, where it's like I don't even know what we do. Like we can't reason with this. We can't shoot it, or at least for a while. Like treat it like you do it like the first Matrix, where you can't fight. You can only run. So like when things show up, it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. And like you get to a point where like you find a way.
You can't resolve stuff with technobabble. You can't just like I'm gonna push these buttons and I'm gonna.
Yeah, and so like for your first few encounters, like all you can do is run.
Compensate the whatever majigger.
And then you get some kind of like an equivalent to like how they use the EMP, where like we can run away better.
Yeah.
And then, like, eventually you find a way to maybe fight back or something. But, like, yeah, you make it, like, really scary and, like, not like the entire series, but, like, you make that threat something that's really alien and that we can't handle.
The big Star Trek way to handle that, and it's hard to do this and not make it lame, but it can be done, is we finally figure out how to communicate with it and we tell it what to go do with itself. Like, we don't necessarily resolve it.
You don't have to shoot it.
We don't necessarily resolve it with violence.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're not necessarily our friends at the end, but you make it like, eventually we got to with the Klingons, where, like, we're not their friends, but they don't shoot at us all the time anymore. You know?
And then the Romulans are dicks again, and we said Cthulhu, and then like, yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like what you would do with a new Star Trek show is really obvious. You make it about exploration again,
yeah,
and you do new things. Like, that's what you do.
And you don't go backwards.
Yeah, and you have the characters be a little bit more rough around the edges because it's 2019. Like, that's what you do. You take the good bits of Voyager and Enterprise, and you make a new show and you move forward.
The first thing, I'm not going to pitch a whole thing, but the first thing I would do, because we haven't done this yet. I mean, Discovery has it in places, but like just from the get go, start with an alien captain. Like, we've never done that.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Like, don't start with a human captain.
Have like a Klingon captain. And that's why people don't like it. It's kind of racist.
Yeah, a Klingon captain or an Andorian, or like, there's a lot of different things you could do. That'd be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the farther you go into Star Trek lore, the less of like a whole human crew with like a couple of aliens you have.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny, like you've watched some TNG, you look at early TNG, and there's the occasional Bolian, and then you get into DS9 and Voyager, and DS9 makes sense because it's a space station, but you get into later shows, or the movies especially, and you'll go into, like, 10 Forward or something, and it's just aliens everywhere. It's just like, why do the movies always have so many more people made up in...
Well, they have more budget.
Because exactly.
They have more money.
And it's a big screen, so you want a lot of different things to look at. There's so much going on.
Maybe you have like an android
captain. Sure.
Like we play with that with Data sometimes. Yeah. But like we're further, you know, we're 100 years further in the future, whatever.
You'd have to jump far enough ahead where we have more of those.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to do some contrived. Well, there was this other inventor guy, and he also made androids.
Yeah. No. Data is just like we reverse engineered Data after he died.
Yeah. Which is what the novel did.
Is that?
Well, they didn't reverse engineer it. They just said, B4 was Data, and then they moved on, and it's Data now.
Well,
yeah.
I would like reverse engineer the corpse and like make more robots.
Sure, yeah.
I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason we don't make more robots is because, you maybe remember this from Measure of a Man, is because Data is considered, by the law, a sentient being with rights. And so, if he won't submit to being taken apart, then that will never happen. Yeah, you do it when he's dead. Loophole!
But no, I guess if you hand me a Star Trek show,
But you have to do it with B4 because he blew up. The thing is, Data exploded, there's nothing left.
Oh.
So...
Okay.
He was on a ship that exploded.
But, like, if you hand me a Star Trek show, like, the thing that I'm going to do, like, the dark thing, because it's 2019, is I'm going to focus on the thing that's, like... Because, like, I've talked about this before, that, like, I have, like, a real... If I think about it too much, I have a real, like, almost phobia of, like, the idea of being on a spaceship and, like, no one can help you. No one can... Or like, being, like, on an uninhabited planet. Like, Alien is so much scarier because it's not like a building. You can't run outside.
Well, and that's that...
You can't call for help.
That's what that Black Mirror episode tried to explore with it.
Yeah. Well, and it's also... somewhat, I think, what Tarantino's supposed to be getting at, if that movie ever comes out. He wants to make space scary, but, like, I think the isolation of space can be really scary.
Yeah.
Even in, like, a TNG setting where, like, it's almost like a hotel on with jets on it. Like,
cells, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I would make space scary again.
Yeah.
And you put it in a place where, like,
and that is the thing that TOS did really well.
You don't know anyone. We are not around races that you know. You you can't call for help.
Yeah.
That's...
But, like, you make a lot of those races, like actually difficult to deal with and really alien. Like, they just don't even make sense to you, which is what Voyager wanted to do, but they played it too safe.
And do, like, weird cultures. And let those cultures not be evil. Like...
Right. Yeah.
Like, do things that do not seem... that do not sit within the moral bounds of humanity.
Yeah.
But aren't
because
inherently...
socially they evolve differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be dicks to them. Don't be like, oh, you kill yourself when you're 40? That's dumb. We don't do that. What a dumb belief system
isn't
you
it
have.
more interesting dealing with the Prime Directive when the cultures aren't similar at all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's I guess what I would do.
Sure. I was just curious.
Star Trek more.
But more, and in parentheses, and actually Star Trek.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what I would name a ship. Like
ship names are hard.
Yeah.
Especially to be the ship of the show.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, I think Discovery is just perfect. I think it's such a good name.
Yes.
For a ship, and then
and that would
we had to make going out and discovering things the last fucking thing we do.
Yeah, and that would have been a great title for a show where you go forward
and
discover new races and
species. Yeah, I mean the name of that show just screams, "No, don't worry, guys, we know what we're doing." And then they make it clear that they don't.
That concept, the spore drive, is not a bad concept for a moving forward show.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, because you're changing the nature of space. The only way the spore drive works in Star Trek is if something new happens that creates that network. You can't say that was always there. That's fucking stupid.
It's on like another wavelength or whatever, right?
You can't...
It's like something nobody's ever discovered. It's like the veins of the universe.
But to just suddenly change... It feels so retroactive no matter when you do it. Like,
I feel
it feels like a concept for a different sci-fi show.
I feel like it's not as weird if you're far in the future and you make a big deal out of this discovery.
Maybe.
And it's called Star Trek Discovery, and this is the discovery.
It's the big thing we discovered.
It's dumb because it's pre-TOS.
It's also dumb because it only exists so we don't have to deal with warp drive. It's so lazy. It's like we want to be able to go wherever we want to in the blink of an eye, and so we made this Spore Network thing up, and we ripped it off from some other sci-fi thing. Like, it doesn't feel like a Star Trek thing.
Is it ripped off from somewhere? Is there like a specific thing that
Well, I know the tardigrade is, but
okay.
I don't know if that's all linked together. I just know that part of it is ripped off from something. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe it could win me over. And it's one of those things where it's difficult to take the individual pieces of a thing that overall you're just not liking and it's not meshing for you, it's not working for you, and go, understand like exactly what those things would be like without the whole package. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, yeah, I'll admit some of it is just that show doesn't work, you know. But like, and I can tell the reason that was put there was kind of a lazy thing. And it feels like a thing where they didn't want to make Star Trek, so they made some other thing. But could I be won over on that in some other context? Maybe.
That just on like concept doesn't seem to me like so alien and like you can't have that in a Star Trek thing.
But you're right. I mean, the biggest issue with it is that
it's pre-TOS.
Yeah, it was 100 years ago,
and it's never been mentioned again. No one's ever discovered it again.
Well, 100 years ago from 24th century, it's even sillier when it's 10 years before TOS.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we just don't talk about that anymore.
Yeah. We swore everyone to secrecy, and there were no leaks.
Yeah.
There's not even like rumors. There's not even like those Discovery truthers or anything like.
Do you know there was this ship where they had this drive where they could go anywhere? What was it, Warp 10? Where they were like at every point in the universe at once? No, it's going to blow your mind. It turns out there's like fucking space seaweed everywhere.
And they also knew about the mirror universe and didn't tell us.
Yeah.
The government knew all along that the mirror universe existed and didn't tell anyone.
Yeah. And like, wasn't your dad in Section 3? Shh! We don't talk about Section 31. We're all supposed to pretend like it doesn't exist because it was so close to yesterday that we have to all know that that's there. So, shh, don't talk about that.
Anyways.
Michael Burnham? No, we don't talk about her anymore either. She's 1,000 years in the future. Don't talk about her. What do you want to talk about, Eric? We're done with Space Trek. What do you want to talk about?
I will talk about...
I'm hungry.
This will be small and kind of short. But something that I noticed recently that I think is interesting.
Like this? Small and short?
Yeah. Because I'm watching through Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, but I was looking at... One of the things I keep finding that I think is interesting is the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It's 2 seasons, a 16-episode season, 8-episode season, which is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But it's like 24 episodes. Giant Quest only had 26 episodes. These shows stuck around and, like, permeated pop culture.
Yeah.
Theoretically, just, like, through endless reruns.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Captain Caveman is 3 seasons and 40 episodes. It is the length of almost both of those series put together.
Yep.
No one remembers that. And there's a bunch of shows like that. Like, I was like, oh, like, all these, like, really classic things, they're, like, a season, like, maybe 20 to 30 episodes. But, like, then you go look at a bunch of shitty things that no one remembers and are, like, trivia answers. And they were there for years.
Yeah.
Like, Scooby-Doo was on television, like, first run for 2 years, 2.5, like, a year and a half.
Yeah.
Captain Caveman was constantly running for 3 years.
Yeah, they had to keep making it.
No one knows it exists.
Yeah. Did not permeate.
But yeah,
How much of that is just good marketing? I don't know. Like, and when you aired it, right? Because here's the thing. I think...
Or if just they were done, it was cheap to just do reruns. So, like, multiple stations were doing reruns. Where, like, only, NBC is running Captain Caveman. Captain Caveman's one I noticed, but, like, there's other ones, too. Where I'm like, really? That ran that long?
And then you get stuff that nobody realizes was on as long as it was, that like, people do know about, but, like, really, it was that long? Like, there are so many incarnations of Super Friends. How in the world was that on that long?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. But
most people, I don't think, realize there are multiple incarnations of Super Friends.
No,
I think they think of it as Super Friends.
Yeah. And some of them feel a little bit different from the other ones, too. It's an odd series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Challenge of the Super Friends, and you had like all these different titles.
I think Challenge is the one that's good for Super Friends.
Yeah, it is.
Where they actually, like, I think Challenge is where they have the Legion of Doom every episode.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which is also a thing we associate with just Super Friends.
Yes.
And only one of those series has the shaggy looking guy with the M on his chest.
Yeah, right. And the Wonder Twins aren't there all the time. I don't remember when they were
just put it all together
introduced.
in our brain, in our collective memory.
Mm-hmm. But I think the secret to this with Scooby-Doo specifically is I don't think anybody realized just how few episodes of that there were.
No.
Like, I think it was just on all the time.
And there is kind of a third season, but it doesn't count.
Yeah.
It was made in 79.
Yes.
Or, sorry. It was made in 79. Like, if you buy the complete series, there are episodes in that were not aired with the original, and you'll probably notice differences.
Interesting.
There's a third...
And then you had the movies.
Yeah.
And you had...
Scooby-Doo at least kept making new things. It makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, sure.
But, like, the Flintstones and the Jetsons, not so much. I don't think they have long runs either. I think they have surprisingly short runs.
It's still, like, 5 or 6 seasons.
Both of them?
With
I think Flintstones
specifically. I don't know how long the Jetsons.
I think Jetsons is shockingly short.
It at least has a decent number of episodes.
I'll look up Jetsons real quick while you're talking.
It has a decent number of episodes, though.
I think it's only 1 or 2 seasons. I think it's surprisingly short. I want to say I looked this up.
It's not that.
Is it not?
It's not 2 seasons. It's definitely longer than that.
Okay. Man, those just family sitcoms just really worked for them. I don't even know why Scooby-Doo was so short. Maybe it wasn't a hit when it came out. Because Scooby-Doo's 69. But like Giant Quest, I know got like booed off television. Like that is a parents group thing, and not that people didn't like it. Parents thought it was too violent. Which is why it's great.
I have no idea why it was that short because I didn't realize that until I was doing research when I did the rewind for the Batman movies, for the Batman Scooby-Doo movies.
Mm-hmm. Jetsons is 75. You're right. Jetsons is long.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought Jetsons was secretly also very short.
Yeah, and then. You're somewhat comparing apples to oranges when you start going to Jetsons and Flintstones because there was prime time,
and they were also the beginning of the Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, but like they were aimed at a more adult audience. Like, they were supposed to be animated sitcoms. They were the Simpsons of their day. And we forget that because they feel so tame in comparison.
Well, and Flintstones is just a straight ripoff of...
a lot of stuff we make now.
What's that show? Flintstones is famously just a ripoff of another show. Honeymooners.
Yeah, that's...
Flintstones is just... And then Jetsons is just futuristic Flintstones.
Right.
Maybe it's not, but that's the reputation it has. That's how people think of it.
No, it kind of is, and you see all the parallels. And of course, they have the family dog, and
have teenagers. That's a little different.
That's true, but it's still like imagining what our world is like, but going forward instead of backward. Like, but no, not actually extrapolating forward, but just going, here's how we do this thing. Here's how we vacuum. How do they vacuum in the future? We vacuum. How do they vacuum in the past?
We all have maids. What do maids look like in the future?
In the future. What do maids look like in the past?
But Jetsons may also be the most pure representation of the, like, collective memory of what we thought science fiction was. Yeah. Like, when we think backwards to the golden age of science fiction, everyone's thinking about the Jetsons. It's the world of tomorrow, that old Disney, like that. When you're thinking of that kind of architecture and those kinds of ships and things...
Yeah, Massive Phantasm.
The
future!
Yeah! Jetsons might be the only, like, real representation, because that's always the weird thing when you go backwards and start looking into things. You're like, oh, nothing is actually what we think it is. You're like, oh, no science fiction was actually like that. Some science fiction had these pieces and these pieces, but, like... It wasn't all like square-jawed heroes running around shooting ray guns. Like,
so I never thought of this until just now. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Well, and then it was kind of interesting because Jetsons doesn't have a lot of like real blatant social commentary, but they do stuff like, well, we're all in the clouds because we screwed up the.
But I don't think that's revealed till the movie in the 80s.
I think that was always supposed to be the idea, though.
Okay, I'm not sure. I've not looked at a lot.
I'm honestly not either, and I watched the first few episodes of that several months ago. But I'm not remembering now.
This was also a thing I found with Indiana Jones, trying to figure out, like, we know exactly where every idea in Star Wars came from. Like, when George Lucas says cereals, I can go tell you the cereals.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, they just say those treasure-finding adventure cereals.
Yeah.
They never cite anything. I cannot fucking find them. And I'm re-going through Salem's Lot, and he talks about cereals because Stephen King brings up cereals way more than I realized. He brings them up a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that was clearly part of his childhood. He mentions some real ones, like Commander Cody, which is what he also references in Misery. But he mentions Commander Cody. But then he makes up one that's like Jack Chase and the Voodoo Death God. And I was like, that's clearly an Indiana Jones thing. This book was written in the 70s, like the early 70s. What is it that you're all referencing?
Yeah. What would be really funny is if none of them remember what any of them were called. Like, they grew up on them, but they're so generic, they don't even know what they're called.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of this genre.
I have looked into it. I've tried to do extensive research. I cannot find a serial that is an adventurer that goes around the world discovering relics.
Yeah.
Can't find it.
Right.
Anyways. What's your next topic?
The thing I was going to say earlier, I had never had this thought before, but isn't it funny that, because I said Flintstones and Jetsons were like the Simpsons of their day, and then Futurama happens, which is the Jetsons of the future?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Yes. Well, and they're also like the Simpsons is the show that breaks the formula of what the Flintstones and the Jetsons are. Like, it's the dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
And then Futurama is the future Simpsons, which isn't really true. They're not. It is not that close. It's not like Seth MacFarlane, where like all of his shows were the same show.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. And they're analyzing things or stuff that feels like analogs, but
he likes his main characters that drink a lot of beer and burp.
Yep, that's a lot. But I mean, like, it's not a family drama.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of different people working together.
Yep. Yeah, it's completely different. It is a complete. Yeah, it's almost as far away as those premises can be. It's not just the Simpsons.
He was smart and didn't make the same thing. It's just the sensibilities and the humor.
Maybe he should have, because Seth MacFarlane's like laughing all the way to the bank with Family Guy and American Dad and the Cleveland Show. And
that's true. You can just make the same show over and over again,
and people will buy it.
Yeah,
I've heard American Dad gets better as it goes along, or at least more different.
That was not true of his first show.
Family Guy?
Yeah,
no, Family Guy gets way worse.
Yeah,
but the good seasons of Family Guy are just The Simpsons. Like, if you go back to like the first like 3 seasons of Family Guy, which is what people say is like the good years, it's just The Simpsons. Anyways.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Eric.
All right.
And my question is, what would you say for you is the genre, or even a subgenre, just like a kind of story that is most played out? Like the thing that is hardest to go back to and do anything fresh?
The thing that immediately leapt to my mind is not a genre or a subgenre.
Oh, okay,
it's just
sure.
an idea, which is...
You can be subversive, it's fine.
Which is just annoying miscommunication.
That drives me insane.
We should have been done with that years ago.
Well, that's
decades
That's
ago.
the backbone of the sitcom.
Yes. It's awful. But it's worse when it's in genuine dramas that are made for adults.
Well, yeah. No, it's terrible. Because it usually leads to just people, like, not... Well, I mean, the third act of BVS is contingent upon this.
Yeah,
you know? It's like, you walk into the room, Superman, why don't you just start talking? I don't understand.
But for, like, a genre... I don't know. Like, nothing's immediately leaping to me where I'm like, I'm so fucking done with this. Because, like, we're so trendy and subversive and, like, what do you call it? Self-aware now.
Yeah.
Like, I could say the sitcom because, like, we're still doing that.
Yeah.
But there's also 4 million other sitcoms that are intentionally, like, anti-sitcoms.
Yeah.
But
I guess it's just, like, even just story premise stuff where it's like we're kind of just chasing our tail now. Like, are we done with the zombie thing? Like, are there new things to say with that? Is it like
there are definitely new things to say?
Are the good ones just the ones that do that as well as anything has ever done it before? But
well, there's always going to be something with any kind of concept like that, like vampires, werewolves. Like, there's always something saying there that you can't see. Like, someone can see something in that, and they're going to come along, and they're going to blow everybody's minds and do it different than anyone's ever seen it before. That's always there.
Is that because time moves forward and society evolves, and so you don't know what is going to happen down the road that ends up being a good metaphor for?
Well, that, and also, you have to live with it long enough to see the tropes to come up with something subversive. So, like if this is what the formula is, and then someone goes... Okay, I see the formula, I'm going to go here.
Yeah.
And then we just keep going here. Someone eventually is going to go, okay, this is what we've been doing. What if we go here? Like, that's kind of how a lot of these ideas keep working. To the point now where, like, in some cases, I kind of wish we would, like, I don't know when the last traditional vampire movie was.
Yeah.
I would like that.
Me too.
That's
Maybe
not...
put some little new spin on it.
Yeah, like
some weakness we've never had before.
Yeah, or, well, I mean, honestly, just if you went back to Stoker and, like, dealt with the rules he sets up, it would be completely different. Vampires can walk in the daylight, like, they're not weak to
and it would feel brand new and fresh again.
Yeah.
Because nobody would know where they stood with it.
Everyone they feed on turns into minions.
Yeah.
Like...
It would be alien to everybody.
Yeah. I've actually thought about doing this with a vampire where, like, people just keep trying things. It's like, well, I know the vampires weak to sunlight. And it's like, well, you didn't read Stoker. Like, we're not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, something that maybe just feels played out right now, and I can't immediately think of, like, I mean, I guess superheroes, right? Like that's super played out.
Specifically, and I'm somewhat
the
saying
superhero movie. Start making other kinds of movies with superheroes.
I'm somewhat saying this because, they don't all have to fall under and even the ones that don't feel as formulaic still tend to conform to some degree. But I'm somewhat saying this because I'm working on the Super Rewind right now. But specifically, I'm done with what if superheroes existed in the real world. But I think the world has been done with that for a while.
Yeah, I feel like we're almost like a decade removed from the onslaught of that.
Yeah.
Like the 2000s is the era of...
more heightened with it. Like, we're not as concerned, for better or worse, because sometimes that's where that comedy problem that we talked about earlier comes from, I think. But for better or worse, I don't think we're as concerned with superheroes being realistic.
No, it's very interesting, and Marvel is a big part of this.
Yeah.
But, like, there are things that we would not have done 10 years ago because they would be silly
that we're not scared of.
That we're not scared of. Costume, like we're getting better with costumes. We're still not there yet completely, but we're getting better with costumes.
It depends on the movie. Some stuff is great. But...
I still think we have like a knee-jerk fear of it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you just meant like the ones we're making.
No, the costumes look great
really good costumes,
when they look good. But I still think like, even with Marvel movies, I feel like there was an immediate like, well, but that's not going to look good. Like,
yeah,
like.
No one's going to take that seriously.
I think part of the reason that Zemo doesn't wear a mask in that movie is because they stopped and went, yeah, but can we make them? Like, or is that going to be too silly?
Yeah.
I think that's still there. Even though we've shown that we can do it, I think that fear is still there.
So real quick,
I'm done with self-referential superhero movies.
I know you are. Yeah. Okay, so I then wanted to very quickly ask you the sort of opposite of that, which
is... talk. I'm done with that. I'm done with that genre.
Oh, well, that's going to take the next 3 generations being dead before we get away from that. So thanks, Whedon, for that. And that's complicated because I like some of that and I dislike other one. Like, I like it when he did it early on.
I still like it when he does it. Like,
yeah.
Like I watch Whedon things. Like, I guarantee you, with that new, like Witch Coven show or whatever he's doing.
That and
you'll have that and it'll be good because it's Whedon doing it.
Okay, so is that the rule? If you're not Whedon or working for Whedon, you can't do that?
Yeah. I also want everybody writing Shane Black dialogue because you can't do it. He can.
Yeah.
Like,
we're lucky that, in some ways, we're lucky that The Tick was never as popular as I would like it to be. Because if Edlin Speak became what everyone was doing, it would more.
Well, and there's a dark period in the late 90s of a bunch of adult films that are trying very, very hard to be Tarantino dialogue.
That's true.
It's painful in Boondock Saints.
But real quick, I wanted to also ask you sort of the opposite, which is there a genre or subgenre that we have forgotten about? It's like, where is this? Why don't we bring that back?
I mean, we don't make detective movies.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, like, I've actually been thinking about so many things that, like, we won't stop making Three Musketeers and King Arthur, but there are still Raymond Chandler novels, like, that have not been made into any form of film. I think that's fascinating, that, like...
That could be adapted.
There are things that we think of as major touchstones that we've not done all of.
Yeah.
I don't know... I would like to see, like, a... Not Sin City to the degree of Sin City, like as cartoony, but a straight black and white that's kind of heightened, has a lot of shadows, like what you think of as noir, as like detective movie. Like I would like to see some of that. I'd like to see more westerns. Westerns are. I would like to see more fun westerns. Westerns is the serious
They're
genre.
so serious now when we make them, yeah.
And I like those, but like I would like to see some variety in westerns.
Like we used to. This is a period piece.
Yeah.
This is historical.
They're very dour. And like even like the Clint Eastwood ones, which is kind of my bread and butter for westerns. Most westerns I like have Clint Eastwood in them. At least that didn't come out in the past 10 years. Like they're not so serious. Like when he did Unforgiven, he kind of changed everything, and like every western since Unforgiven is living in the shadow of Unforgiven.
Yeah.
And he did movies before that were still like serious and violent, but weren't Unforgiven. I feel like we're just not that we're literally remaking Unforgiven, but that tone we cannot get away from, and I think it's because it feels like we have to justify making westerns. Well, the 310 to Yuma, I don't remember being so relentlessly, brutally dark. I think it's got a downer ending, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
It's by the guy that did Logan.
Yeah, I know. I just never saw it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff.
A lot of those sensibilities even in the Wolverine. He talked about that a lot.
Yeah. Well, and obviously Logan is a western.
Yep.
Which is weird.
Straight up western,
but they did it noir.
I know, it's
awesome.
Very
strange.
No, but it totally works.
I know, but it's weird that he made a western. They're like, we're gonna make Logan noir. I'm like, but it's not a noir. It's a western. I really want them to arbitrarily keep doing that because they did Blood and Chrome with Mad Max Fury Road. At least that black and white.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they just didn't use the word noir, I guess. You know what I mean? Because it's like, no, it's like a black and white Western. Like, we had those.
Yeah,
like, why are we saying noir? Noir means no color? That's what that means now.
Well, and DC's been doing that with those noir books. Or did they not? Are those all called noir? There's like black and white prints that they're doing.
They are.
I think they're all called noir, whether the book is noir or not.
Yeah. Where that just means black and white now.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's nice to have one word for that, but like monochrome? I mean, there's words. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sound great, but you know.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that meant something. We've gotten hung up on the noir thing before, but anyway. Well, you have another good topic? You know what? You can even bring up a shitty topic. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you, man.
I've got something.
It's your time now.
Yeah. If we've talked about this before, and this will probably be a quick topic because I think I know your opinion.
Dieu.
But if we've talked about this before, we don't have to do it. I can skip to a different one.
Yes, Eric. I do think Riddler socks are cool.
Where do you stand
I do. They're cool.
Where do you stand on aliens being here and having come here and potentially having visited here? I think everyone agrees that, like, somewhere out there are aliens. There's other sentient life.
It's hard to believe with a universe that vast that Earth is the only place where that evolves.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of that vastness, I think the odds that we have been visited are very small. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's unlikely.
Okay.
Where do you land on that?
I agree.
I think that's all total bullshit.
Well, and I've always,
not that I have studied the subject a lot or anything.
I
this
just
is a thing that I would look into a lot, like ufology. I've not done a ton of that, so there might be compelling evidence that I've not looked at. But from what little I have done, it's hard to buy. I'll say this: I buy it as much or as not at all as I do ghosts. Right? Like, there doesn't seem to be any more compelling evidence for aliens than there is with. There's hauntings.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things seem to go in the same place, and there seems to be a good explanation for everything that we jump to that conclusion with because we can't think of another explanation or because we're looking for ghosts or we're looking for aliens. That's my answer.
Well, and so many hauntings and things of that nature, or I want to say people that say they're haunted exactly as much as like people that go in looking for hauntings.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for hauntings.
Yeah.
You're subconsciously going to find them.
Yeah,
it's that heightened thing.
And the same thing happens with aliens.
Yeah.
Where it's like you have that on the brain, you're specifically looking for it. So when you're not looking at other explanations, or you're like ignoring them in favor of the thing you're hoping it is.
Well, I told you I got this book called Mirage Men, which is about the CIA, FBI, one of them. I guess it would be FBI, but I think it's CIA actually. Their intentional factoring of UFO things and like encouraging UFO things to the UFO community and like belief in UFO things, and making sure people go on record saying like I saw a UFO in the sky because it was helping cover up
something else.
Yeah, like it's a test plane, but you saw three lights in the sky and you're convinced it's and also because we're in the middle of the Cold War, we wanted the Russians to be afraid.
And if that stuff actually happened, X-Files was closer than anybody realized. Because X-Files has its cake and eats it too, where there's actually aliens, but also the government was pushing the idea of aliens for precisely the reason you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But also there were aliens, so like it does both.
Well, and when Reagan unveiled his Star Wars program...
And they like to go back and forth constantly in X-Files, where they like to pretend like it's all bunk, and then they go, no, it's not bunk, but then they're, you know what I mean?
And there's a season where the show could have ended. I think it's 6, where they have that reveal, and then they reverse on, and then
they do the same reveal again in the when they come back.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's
but
awful.
But like when Reagan unveiled his Star Wars program,
yes.
There were rumors and like speculations that like it was being used it was being built with UFO technology and things like that, and they never said they didn't.
Yeah.
So the Russians would think that we had fucking alien shit. So,
which makes sense.
Yeah. So it's this book about kind of alien conspiracies, and like it's a real book. Like it's a nonfiction book conducted with interviews of ex government people. And the guy who wrote the book used to do crop circles. Like I don't know if you know that. Like people would do that just to fuck with people.
Yeah.
Like crop circles are hard to make.
Sure.
So I went and looked at the reviews on Amazon, and there's a bunch of people. Like, go to the 1-star reviews for Mirage Men.
UFO people?
It's all UFO people being like, yeah, okay, so maybe you made crop circles, and there's a bunch of other people that have gone on record as making crop circles. That doesn't mean that all crop circles are made by people. Or, like, it'll be like, okay, so you can tell me that these incidents were the government. That doesn't mean that all sightings of the government, where it's like,
you can't disprove a negative. Like, sure, okay, but like, you can't prove that they did.
Also,
either,
someone speculates that they intentionally gave him misinformation so he would put this book out there to cover up the alien conspiracy. Which is the
awesome.
best.
No, that's amazing.
Specifically with the aliens of the 20th century, which is really what we're talking about when we talk about aliens, because we didn't see UFOs before 1920.
I was going to ask you about that. That was the big thing I was going to mention, is it's convenient that they don't seem to show up and we don't have any evidence of them before we have the technology that would detect them. And you could make the argument, if you're an alien conspiracy person, that's because of, like, the Star Trek thing, like the First Contact thing. Like, well, they didn't bother with us until the technology got better.
We didn't see them until we were ready to see them.
But I don't... Sure, or we didn't see them until the aliens went, well, you're sophisticated enough in your technology for us to come meet you. But the thing is, they didn't make First Contact. They just, like, snooped around. Mm-hmm. And maybe they weren't interested in talking with us so much as figuring out what we were capable of in case we were, like, a threat or something. Mm-hmm. Or they're just exploring, and they're not interested in, like, horse and buggy culture, but once we get computers, that's interesting to them, to maybe, like, parallel their own development, that kind of thing. But I wouldn't think the Macintosh would be the warp drive of an alien species. You'd think it would take longer before they were interested in us. Like maybe the atom bomb was the thing, but and like the dates kind of line up for that.
Yeah.
But they waited like a decade and a half, but because Roswell's supposed to be 49?
I think that's right.
Am I right?
50, right around there.
Right around there, and the atomic bomb is 15 years before that. So I don't know. Maybe the atomic bomb is these warp drive for that species, and they wait to make first contact until then. But again, they don't come to talk to us. They're just like snooping around and hoping we won't notice, or doing like weird shit to make the people that want to see them notice them. Like, why are they making crop circles? What even is that? Like, is that...
Well, it's really called signs.
Do they have a cloaked ship and they land and that's what makes it? Like, what makes the crop circles?
I think it's supposed to be like letters, right? Like, it's like words, it's like a language. Because, like, they're always weird symbols.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to
be... Like the Kryptonians in Smallville.
Yeah, exactly, like Kryptonians in Smallville.
But why the fuck do they do that? If they're that advanced, why do they come here just to write on our lawn?
Well, they think we're super primitive, so, like, we can only...
Okay.
But in speaking of the aliens of the 20th century, I always kind of land on the... First of all, I would like to say that with ghosts and with aliens, with all of this, I really want to believe. Like, I do.
Yeah.
It's just not the world I live in, and I think people that believe in these things are dumb.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it would be really interesting.
That's what I want. I want a more interesting world than the one I live in.
It makes it feel like the world is as mundane as it looks. And I think a lot of the reason that people go to that stuff is they need the world to be more interesting, and so they decide that it is.
Mm-hmm. But I don't believe our government is competent enough to have covered up all of this. Like,
no.
Like the idea that, like, we have this like masterful, like, scary government that, like, can weave these elaborate... We couldn't keep the president from, like, We couldn't keep like people from like finding out about Nixon rigging the elections, but we kept aliens under wraps for 100 years.
It only works if you have a shadow government that even the president doesn't know about, right?
But those all have to be super competent. No one can ever fuck up. No one can ever go to the press, right? Like,
yeah. No, I mean, like they would have to be working in the background without anybody ever knowing about it. It has to be Section 31. Mm-hmm. It has to be that kind of idea. But it certainly couldn't be sanctioned by any White House. Otherwise, the first thing you do when you got a new party in the White House is tell everybody about that.
Well, and I think Obama's gone on record saying he asked about it, and I think there's another president that also said they asked about it. And
he's like a sci-fi fan and stuff, so that's fun. If I were the president, I would do that, you know.
Well, and there's like a kid that asked him about it, and he was like, I did. I asked about that like the second I got in the office.
Yeah. Well, and he has, I can't remember which talk show host it is, if it's Conan or who it was, but he has, did you know about this? He did an interview with one of the big talk show hosts who asked him about Area 51, and he was like, yes, I know about all that stuff, but I can't tell you about any of it. Well, it's really, it was fun.
But the biggest thing right now that tells me that we have not contacted aliens, like the American government, Trump would have fucking told us.
He would have.
He would have tweeted about it.
He's not gonna keep that under his hat. Yeah.
He would have told us. Now maybe the rest of the government said, "Well, we're not going to tell him."
Well, again, that's why the only way it works is if there's this other government in the background,
which is what the X-Files
the government doesn't know about.
Is that there's the government, because the interesting thing about the X-Files is the X-Files is every other show about that things, but they're the. Usually the FBI shows up and shuts everyone down.
Yeah.
They are the FBI, but still men in suits show up and from the government show up and shut them down.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of how X-Files works. But I used to watch like a lot of alien like I actually like a lot of it's not like still with me, but I have done a lot of research on aliens and things like that, and UFOlogy. I watched a lot of documentaries on the History Channel, things like that.
I listened to a podcast on it a couple of times that was fascinating and hilarious.
The thing, and I've tried to do it again.
Is it just too blatantly obviously none of it's true, and so you can't get into it, or
yeah. Like, and specifically like I started watching a show called, I think it's Hangar 47. It's Hangar something, Hangar 0, Hangar 1. It's on Hulu, and I was like, well, this isn't like the ones I watched when I was a kid. Like, this is all clear like crazy people and like bullshit. But then I went back to some of the ones from like around that time,
and they were crazy,
and they're all crazy people and bullshit. Now, the problem I have, because I've tried to find a good podcast about this, and I can't. Because what every podcast is one of two things. People that think it's completely bullshit and just do nothing but make fun of it, or they're complete believers and I cannot take them seriously.
That was the one I listened to.
I want an in-between. I want someone who... What I really want is I just want the facts. I want the alien mythology.
Yeah.
I don't want you to tell me whether you believe it or not. I just want to know about...
what's the consensus? What have people decided it is?
Yeah, and like because there is really interesting stuff. The big one is the couple that got abducted and invented the Greys or the reptilians or rep something. I forget what they are, but there is a couple that gets abducted and like 60% of UFO like everything you know about aliens comes from that incident. They were abducted. There's documented time loss where like they're driving home. And then they're home, but they feel like they got home faster than they thought they would, and they check the clocks, and there's like missing time, like that's where missing time comes from.
Okay.
They're also the ones who
you can't base all that on one incident, you know?
Yeah,
pretty circumstantial.
They're also the ones that like they invent or saw, because also a lot of this comes out in hypnotic or hypnotherapy, which we know now is not a reputable way to get information because it's...
So you're talking about bunk on top of bunk.
Yes.
You're getting the bunk from the bunk.
Yes. Because... And I think most of this comes from hypnotherapy with them because it's things where it's like... They didn't seem to just make all this shit up. Like...
Yeah.
They were trying to get answers for like what happened. Like we're missing time and like all this. But they are the ones who make the Greys. They are where we get the big head and the big eyes, which for some reason we always make green, but like they're gray. But I have done a lot of research, and what I've discovered, especially now as an adult, is I was like, all that stuff that I thought, like I remember watching alien documentaries and getting scared when I was younger. And like now I'm like,
just silly.
Yeah, now they're all dumb, and I really want a podcast that's in the middle, or just telling me like these are the things that they say happen, but like are fun about it, you know. I don't want it to be like dry.
It's just when you know that stuff is like really obviously just made up, and especially if it's there just to like get somebody's money, it's like a scam and stuff. It's hard to get that interested in reading about it. Like I don't care about acupuncture. We know it doesn't do anything. Like,
do we know that?
Yeah,
I've never looked into it, but okay, I did not know that.
It seems to be kind of a BS thing, but
I thought it was all about
little
pressure points, and we know pressure points like affect your body somewhat.
Yeah, the people that really buy into it think that it like is helpful for everything.
Oh.
That like it can cure stuff.
It seems like everyone that finds anything that's helpful thinks it's helpful for everything.
Yeah.
Like eating or drinking prune juice helps you with this. Therefore, drinking prune juice will fix cancer
yeah.
and prostate and yeah. It makes your skin smoother. Like
sinus infections.
We take everything too far.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is grand statement. The problem with the human race is that we take everything too far.
You know what I want? I want a TV show that's like one of those ghost chasing shows, but it's like both. It's like alien ghosts. Like the aliens were here and then they died and now they're haunting your house.
Early on, that was part of the pitch for the female Ghostbusters. That was part of Kevin Feige's pitch, and a lot of people rolled their eyes. I thought that was kind of a cool
It's a
idea.
good idea,
especially in that universe. I prefer that to multidimensional. Like, I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
And it explains all the weird fucking shapes that the human ghosts show up in.
Yeah, the remake of Poltergeist beat them to it, and it was the only good idea they had.
Oh, it was alien ghosts?
No, that would have been fucking great. No, I mean making it about a show where they were ghost chasing. Like Poltergeist did that.
No. I'm saying Alien Ghosts was.
Oh! I thought you meant like a ghost chasing show.
No.
No, Alien Ghosts is a great idea.
Yeah, just Alien Ghosts.
Sure.
Was no. I don't think that would be actually a great idea for Ghostbusters if they were a show. But
yeah. Well, but you remember the comics? We had like the ghost chaser people that.
Yeah, no, that's a fun idea to exist in that universe. But I don't want a reboot of the Ghostbusters for them to be ghost hunters.
They're ghost hunters?
Yeah.
Although the idea of...
But part of that's because I have no respect for ghost hunters.
Well, that's why it would be kind of fun, though, is that, like, nobody buys it, but they're the ones that actually got it right and have found things and they have the equipment that works. Like, no, that could work.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
And, like, the mistake we made was trying to get famous. The mistake we made was televising it.
I am part of a group on Facebook that is the Kansas City Supernatural and Paranormal Society.
Okay.
And I joined it just because I wanted to know about, like, and I still haven't done this. Like, I've been here for 3 years, I should do this, but, like, one of the things I like to do when I go to places, I like to take, like, haunted tours.
Yeah.
Like, because, specifically cities, but, like, most places have some kind of haunted history. There's, like, a mythology to all of America.
Yeah.
I first did this I went to Atlanta, not Atlanta, I went somewhere. And there was that, and like I took this haunted tour, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I went to Key West, and I did a similar thing, and like, I think all of that stuff's really cool.
Yeah.
Like ghost stories and things like that, just across the country. I've never done that here, but I was hoping for that. What it is, and I just haven't left because it both makes me angry and sad. Is all their fucking posts because they're all ghost hunters.
Yeah.
And like...
So they just say silly things.
Yeah, and like, I can't look away. Like, I always read the posts from that group. And they're so fucking serious, and they really think that that's a real job, and that, like, they're really doing something to help the world, and they really know.
Did I tell you that when my dad owned flea markets, we had a big flea market that was like 20,000, 30,000 square feet in downtown Morrilton, Arkansas, and that place was supposedly haunted.
Oh.
And Dad actually got like ghost hunter people out to investigate it. Mm-hmm. That was just hilarious.
I bet. I have wanted.
See how it's kind of cold right here? I mean, it was really funny.
I want to stay in. There's a couple of these in the country. Where it's like haunted hotels, or like not like the whole thing, but like there is a room that's haunted, and like you have to pay extra to stay in that room. I would like to do that. Like, I like the idea of going to haunted houses and things like that. Like,
you're just gonna get up in the morning and it's gonna be like it was just a normal night. Like, nothing.
But what if it's not?
Yeah,
I have to know.
Yeah, sure. It's just the couple of times I have been to places that are supposedly haunted.
It's always
I haven't seen anything. Nothing weird has happened. Like, part of the reason I'm not immediately a believer in that is because I have been told by people you're going to see something,
and then not.
And then I didn't. I just heard stories. You know.
I have a real like academic fascination with a lot of that stuff.
I got taken to a house in
was it on a haunted hill?
Kind of, because it was like a farm. It was like a haunted farmhouse, but there was supposed to be stuff even like out in the like the corn or the wheat or whatever they had. You know, It was weird. And the week I met my wife, I was taken out by a friend to this place. We didn't see anything. There's just these asshole kids that jumped out at us, and like it was really lame. And then we went back to the house, and the people that owned it talked about all these crazy things that have happened. But like, it's hard to believe them.
Yeah,
you know?
And like, I've never been like presented with like firsthand evidence. Like, it's always like somebody knows somebody.
Yeah.
Like I remember in school there was a teacher that told like a story about like.
Yeah, just anything.
That like these people like thought there was haunted, or like they were hearing voices or like something in the house, and they like left a tape recorder on, and they didn't hear anything all night. And then they played back the tape recorder, and it was like, oh, these loud noises.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I see that tape? Like,
right. They probably didn't have it.
Well, it wasn't them. It wasn't my teacher. It was like one of my teacher's like friends or like something like that. It's never a direct thing. No one can show me. Which is why who is it? Someone has a standing. No, it's not. It's a dead person. It's Houdini. Houdini had a standing, like $100 if anyone could like show him a haunting, or or I think that maybe it was psychics. Maybe that was his thing.
Right. Yeah.
But
of course, couldn't do it.
I think someone might have it right now. I think someone like of some kind of famous repute of some kind has like a standing. Like, if you can give me indisputable proof, like you can show me.
Don't you feel like the internet should have broken all this?
Yes!
I mean, that should be the end of it, right? Like, how do you... The proof should be all over YouTube. Of any of these things.
Yeah.
Of aliens, ghosts. The proof should be all over YouTube. And we act like it can be videotaped as far as ghosts go. So why don't I see, like, stuff that's just irrefutable? And same thing with aliens. Like...
Why aren't those, like, Ghost Hunter TV show people, like, millionaires? Like, why haven't they, like, cashed in on, like... There's, like, 17 seasons. Like... There's nothing? Like, why isn't it science at this point?
Right.
Do you ever find anything?
Yeah, there can't be... That's the first sign that there's not anything to it.
It's like this. I was recently looking into this, this priest. I forget what his name is. It's very French. But there's this priest from about the mid-20th century, like early to mid-20th century, who Christians... So he put a lot of effort for putting together evolution and the Bible.
Yeah.
Like these are how these things can fit.
Yeah.
And I was looking at like the reception to his work, and it's like a lot of Christians like credit him as like being this huge innovator, and like he was the first guy to like really like break ground on how these are not mutually exclusive ideas.
Yeah.
And that's the opinions of scientists. And they're like, well, he was a quack, and like he didn't have any. There was no science in anything he was saying. Like there was nothing. I'm like, see, that's the problem.
Yeah.
When only people that are already believers say this is the science. No, I need real scientists.
Yeah, they're working backwards from a conclusion.
You're all ghost hunters. I need real scientists to tell me that what you're doing is not bullshit.
You're gonna buy ghosts when a scientist is doing research and he stumbles on that, and it's the only possible explanation.
Yeah.
And you're gonna buy aliens when somebody who does not believe in aliens sees one and
has like irrefutable proof.
Yeah, exactly.
All of this was helped so much by blurry cameras, right?
Yeah, it was. Or not one person, like
a group,
busload of kids on a field trip.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, and they all have fucking iPhones now, so they're all recording it. Yeah. There's like 15
with a teacher
videos.
and a bus driver that are like, yeah, that fucking happened.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you need.
Well, now to be fair, I think there are instances kind of like that with UFOlogy, where like there's enough people that say like this happened. Because there are mass sightings of like... But again, it's like lights in the sky. It's not like mass abductions.
Okay, so there's a massive group of people that all saw a thing they couldn't explain. So what?
Maybe it was aliens.
Okay, maybe, but you can't work backwards from a conclusion and say it.
But they do. This is how they work.
I don't have any other explanation, and that's what I want it to be. You know. Now, I'm cool with. Well, it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that, but I feel the same way about aliens that I do about God.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say that I believe it until I know. Like. People like to say they know things that they can't know.
And that's
all.
I
with as much respect as I can muster.
Well, maybe I'm smug about it because like the second somebody's like I'm a ghost hunter, I'm like fuck you, like you're a loser.
Yeah, but I mean that's mean and all.
I don't say it to them, but those are the thoughts that immediately go through my head.
You being an asshole, that in that mind, I mean you're an asshole. I just mean doing that is kind of asshole.
Yeah, that's why it's in my head. I don't really say that. But it is what I think. Like, I have met people who said, like, I am a ghost hunter, and immediately in my head, I'm like, God, you're a fucking moron.
All that makes you is a skeptic, though.
Yeah.
What is, like, and you should be.
And again, I want to believe.
I
want these things to be real.
Yeah,
I want to live in a world with ghosts and aliens.
The problem is when you say, no, this must be this because I want it to be. And this notion that, like, it's anti-critical.
Mm-hmm.
That's what drives me insane about it, is that you say, what I want has any bearing on what he is.
Mm-hmm.
I
what you need is not people looking for aliens and ghosts to find these things. You need people who find these things and are trying to.
You're not here sitting in this chair because I want you to be.
Yeah.
You just are.
Yeah.
You know? But I like when you get up and leave and I'm looking at this chair, I can't will you into existence because I wish you were here.
And alien people, I guess, have the excuse of like government conspiracy, which I've already covered. I don't buy into because our government is incredibly incompetent. But what do ghost people have? They don't have that excuse. The government isn't covering up ghosts. It's like the history. It was in the History Channel. I think it was History Channel. Had like this.
That's almost even like easier to buy because it's so vague. Where it's like there's residual energy of a person who died. Like, I honestly buy that more than you saw lights in the sky, so it must be a spaceship. And I'm not saying that I buy into any of that.
And there's like pseudoscientific like the idea that like ghost sightings are like parallel universes like slightly overlapping. So like what you're actually seeing is not a dead person; it's somebody from the next dimension over, and it's just like we're close enough that like we can kind of see.
But the problem is, I've watched some of the shows. I've watched some of the shows where they debunk it, right?
Mm.
And too often there's an actual explanation.
Well, there's always an actual explanation.
But like they know what it is. They can give you a real explanation. Where like, well, no, what you're actually seeing is this prism effect of this thing that's over here that you didn't notice. You know whatever it is. And then there's the fact that like people's eyes. Like, the human eye is a finicky, fickle thing.
Well, everything about humans are a finicky, fickle thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can't perceive. And too much of this is predicated on the, like human beings being able to perceive, like, everything.
And we've known this since before we started seeing aliens. Like, in fucking A Christmas Carol, he's like, you could literally be me, like, having eaten something that's digesting poorly in my system. Like, we've known how fickle we are for a long time.
Yeah, you can't... Yeah, not only can you not trust the limited eyesight...
You can't trust anything about your senses.
You can't trust your mind if you've, like, not gotten enough sleep, or if you ate something weird the night before, like Scrooge says in the scene you're talking about.
And even just, like, in a heightened state, like, I don't believe in these things... But once in my life, I was like open to the suggestion because I was in a heightened state, and I had something I couldn't immediately explain.
Yeah,
I've told this story, right? Where about the big sound, where I thought I was in a house that was haunted.
I think so, but do it again.
Okay,
now I'm not sure.
So me and my then girlfriend were at her mom's house. Her mom was out of town, and she was talking about like how and she believed in more like ethereal spiritually things. How she was never like comfortable living in this house, and like it's uncomfortable, and like she's not necessarily haunted, but like there's something not right spiritually about this house, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, this is whatever. Like, okay, like that's dumb. And then we hear, and we're also not supposed to be at this house.
Oh yeah, I remember this now. Go ahead.
And then there's this huge, loud sound.
Yeah.
And
you never identified it.
Well, and like I do the guy thing, like I go into the garage, I'm like looking for like raccoons or something, like, and there's nothing, and like now I'm very scared. And when she starts saying like I told you that house is fucking haunted, like I'm like, yeah, let's leave. And also, we're not supposed to be here, and like if neighbors heard that sound, like if they come investigate, like we're not supposed to be at this house, like
yeah.
Like so we leave, go back to where I was staying. I get on the computer, and I have a message from my friends like, did you hear the supersonic boom?
Oh, that's right.
It was sonic boom. There's a something re-entering the atmosphere, whatever.
And so everyone in that neighborhood heard that.
But if I didn't get that, would I spend the rest of my life thinking that potentially I had experienced a supernatural occurrence?
Maybe so.
I think a lot of these people have things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Where you're already in a heightened state. You're scared of something.
Yeah.
And like now your mind is more willing to believe something that in a right mind you wouldn't believe. And things like that happen. That's what I think most of these things are.
What I understand is like intentionally screwing up your senses like that because you think you'll learn something real because you're under an influence. Like I don't get taking drugs in order to learn things. You know what I mean? Where like you're in this, like you said, heightened state, and like it's fascinating and it's crazy the things that the mind can do with that. But the fact that you're under an influence and that it's messing with you chemically should immediately make you skeptical of everything that you experience when you're doing that.
There's weird stuff with that. Like I've heard people talk about that and how it's because like when like Grant Morrison talks about that.
Yeah.
Like
he sounds like a crazy person.
But they also don't present like it's altering your consciousness.
Morrison, that's the one thing when he's talking, I have a hard time tuning out.
But it's supposed to be intentionally altering your consciousness to like perceive on other levels. It's like understanding that what we perceive is always like under factors, and it's like switching to infrared. Like it's your mind switching to like infrared or whatever. Like it's perceived on another level. Is what it's supposed to be.
Trust it at all.
No. But like that's what that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And like I've heard people explain weird things from that. Actually, one thing of is a Morrison thing about seeing people like who they were.
Yeah.
Like you can see the trail of people who for like everywhere they've ever been, who they were because they're a different person every moment to moment, and things like that. And it's all like a big centipede.
Yeah, that's fascinating at all.
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. But no, I also don't mind that. And I don't begrudge like creators that do that. Like to get into because like I like things like I love reading things that feel like that.
Sure, yeah.
And it's a thing I've always considered. I've always considered taking psychedelics, and I'm like, every writer
that.
I like does psychedelics or has done them, and it clearly influenced their work.
This isn't me giving a big anti-drug PSA.
But
I'm just saying that
I don't think I believe any of it's real.
I wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't put something in my body and then go, I must be like looking into another universe.
I like it as the idea of it expands your consciousness for like theoretical ideas.
I don't buy that the human brain is actually that powerful is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I buy that it's an amazing organ and there's all kinds of crazy stuff that we can do and we haven't tapped all the potential. I buy that. I don't buy telekinesis. I don't buy telepathy. I don't buy...
I think we would have figured that stuff out by now.
So do I. Or there would at least be evidence that somebody had achieved it.
I think the mind is too weird for telepathy.
And there's already stuff that the mind can do that feels supernatural, so it's not like I don't believe that the mind can do like incredible things. We know that under certain conditions people can do like insanely complex calculations in like a fraction of a second. Like Stanley's Superhumans. There was an episode about a guy that could do that. I believe 100% that was happening. But he wasn't moving shit with his mind. He wasn't looking into parallel universes.
Well, and there's the people that like can like put like bars through their mouth because like it doesn't hurt. Like they have no pain receptors and things like that. Have you heard about that thing that we've got now? Or I think it exists. I think one has been built. And I think it's in China or Japan because everything's in China and Japan when it comes to technology. But it's basically mind reading. It can tell what you're thinking from like microscopic like nuances, like alterations in your face. Like
Which is the reason we can't 100% CG a person's face right.
When you're thinking words, there are little ticks that are going on in your face that's like essentially like sounding out the words.
So it's like super subtle lip reading?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
But again, it's not telepathy.
No.
Like, you just explained the science behind it.
Yes. But I was just, as an aside.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying, like, see, there probably isn't telepathy. You probably can't do it. And, like, I'm one of the biggest superhero fans on the planet. I love the idea of superpowers. I don't believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I also don't think that anything is necessarily impossible. When I say I don't believe in them, I haven't seen evidence for myself yet. I'm not going to do the opposite thing. I'm not going to ignore it when I see evidence.
Yeah.
That's just how the scientific method works. You know, if it's proven to me. Because I mean, I'm lazy. I'm not going to do the research myself. But if I see,
I'm also not going to read the research. I'm going to read the article that tells me what the research says.
Well, you know, you're better than 95% of the planet because most people will just read the headline. You actually read the fucking article. That's amazing. Yeah, you're not going to read the report. You know, forget the report.
Oh, it's always so technical.
Yeah, that's the thing is when people say, "Well, you really should do your research and read the report," you're like, you don't understand. I have to go to school and get a degree and understand what the report said.
A lot of those
I don't
reports
have
are
the
like
money
that.
to do that. No, they are. Yeah. Well, and I feel that way sometimes about legislation, where it's like, did you read the bill? Would I understand the bill?
Yeah.
If I read the bill, would I know what the hell I was looking at?
And that's
I'm not used to this kind of reading. Like,
well, and that's a whole thing because like people will read the article, but like oftentimes like a lot of that stuff is like misinterpreted or like it's spun. It's spun like it's always spun.
Yeah.
Where it's like someone did read the bill and this is what they're telling you it is, and you're trusting that.
And so just
not
reading
really
the article,
what the bill is.
yeah, it's the same thing as just reading the headline. You actually need to read the bill. But the problem is
it's written in a way that you're not going to understand because it's all legalese.
Yeah, and what sucks is, you know, there's spin, but there's also maybe somebody like did the best job they could of interpreting it, and they got it wrong because they also couldn't read the bill.
Well, and how often is like have we heard like in court case and things where like it's up to the interpretation of the law. Like it's like you could get that interpretation and maybe you could take it to court, but somebody else could get a different interpretation from the way it's worded. It's all
about semantics.
Yeah. Okay, we have to stop because I have to go to the bathroom. I've had like 5 bottles of water because we did the commentary and then.
Well, Patreon, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. It's amazing that we got where we got from that topic. That was a great topic.
Yeah.
And then it turned into all kinds of other interesting topics.
All connected.
Yeah. It'll be amazing if we have any material left for another After Dark down the road. But I've said that before, and we have. So nobody panic. Anyway, next time, the 40th episode spectacular where we'll, I don't know,
something.
Maybe wear a hat. Maybe we'll put up middle fingers or something. I don't know. We'll do something.
I've ever done that. We've never done
I don't think we've done it now. I'm not going to do it. I'm classier than that. Until episode 40, and then I might not be.
I'm fascinated by the middle finger and people getting pissed off by it.
Well, we should.
But then I'm not.
I had a profanity topic actually that we didn't get to, so maybe next time.
Like, I think it's dumb that people can be offended by this, but then they know what you mean.
Yeah.
So
it
like,
does mean a thing.
Yeah.
But I also think that we've been conditioned to have a knee-jerk reaction to that, so you might not even be thinking "fuck you" or whatever, right? Like, it might just be you're not supposed to put that finger up, you know. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Bye.
Bye.